Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me again, reunited, is my good buddy.
This is Ryan.
And real quick, before we get started, I want to thank Chris again for filling in last week. We were in a tight spot, with some family stuff going on for Ryan. So thank you, Chris, for helping us out and filling in for that. We covered Doki Doki Literature Club, and I don't know what happened. I shared it on Twitter, and like some virtual novel page retweeted it, and all of a sudden that episode is our second most listened to episode.
Not bad.
So I was like, maybe I should tag our posts better.
That's cool.
Man, but yeah, so shout out to Chris. We appreciate it, man. And this week we are diving into Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Fuck this game.
But first, sir, was there any news this week? Was there any good things that stood out to you?
As far as like the gaming industry and stuff goes, I haven't really seen too much. I know Sony announced a list of like 10 games that aren't for the PS4 that will not be compatible with the PS5, but there aren't really any significant titles on that list.
Yeah,
I think Hitman might be the most recognizable version of it, on that list. And
it's Hitman Go, which is like a low. From what I remember, it's like a low poly, almost like they did a Lara Croft type game like that too. That I think were available for mobile platforms.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is like a portable mobile game.
I know if it hasn't already passed, I don't remember the actual date, but Amazon Prime, for their annual Prime Day sales, I guess PC gaming equipment and PC gaming stuff is going to be at a significant discount.
Don't fucking tell me that.
For Prime members. Yeah.
Well,
I was just seeing something about that. So.
God damn it. I just got a new SSD and these headphones that I'm wearing, these fancy ones.
That's how it always works. That's how it always works. You shop around, you finally get something. And as soon as you get it, it's fucking on sale for cheaper than what you paid for it. Always.
Dude, it happens to me with almost every newer game that I get.
Yeah,
I'll be like, all right, it finally dropped to $49.99. I'll snag it and I'll pay $50, and the next week it's on sale for $20.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's always like that. It's like when I first got the PlayStation, I picked up NHL 19 because that was the game then. I bought it like new on the console. It was like $40. And then the very next week, it was like the free game for the PlayStation Now subscribers. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
on my dad's birthday, I got him Everybody's Golf, which is like Hot Shots Golf.
Yeah.
And it was on sale for $9.99, so I snagged that. And then I got him the Wipeout collection, and that was, I think, on sale for $14.99. So about a week later, his birthday's passed. Everybody's Golf is $4.99, and Wipeout is $9.99. And I'm like, Yeah, of course.
Of course it is.
They just kicked the sales up a notch, apparently.
Yeah.
But, I did get a chance to dive into play some of Serious Sam 4. And I know I popped it on Discord so you could see it. And they're not fucking around.
No, that opening was... I can't wait to play that game, if my laptop will even run it. But
dude,
we might have to hold off on that game until I can build my PC. Like,
yeah. There's a few of them, and that might be one of them. I might have to just play that in my spare time for now, just to fuck around with it. Because as soon as the game started, they were talking about having 100,000 enemies on screen.
There were probably 100,000 enemies on screen.
As soon as they drop you in, you are in the middle of this fucking war, and there are enemies as far as you can see. It is wild.
Yep.
And the graphics are crisp.
Insane. Oh, they looked so clean. Like, I need to get my PC build started so that I can fucking play that game. I've been waiting for it. Like,
my recommendation, man, there's two ways to go about it. You could do what some people do, which is like just buy a case, like a shell, and build it from the ground up.
That's what I'm gonna end up doing. I think is just building it myself.
Because like what I did was get a pre-built and then just add it to it.
Yeah.
As I needed to. Yeah.
No, I'll probably definitely just get a case and then build it myself. I think it'll end up cheaper in the long run to do it that way.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah. And I can't think of anything else in the news. I added some games to the list.
Oh, you added a couple games to the list, yeah. I know you were telling me about a couple of them.
Let me pull up the list real quick, and I will.
Pokemon Sword and Shield second expansion goes live in November, just a couple weeks.
Man, I need to beat that base game still. We started this podcast.
I rolled credits on the first part, but I'm still playing through the second part of the main storyline.
Oh, I didn't even know that was the second part.
Yeah, you become champion, and then it rolls credits, and then it restarts over with a whole new storyline that gets significantly harder. Becoming the champion was stupid easy, and I was like, this can't be the whole game, and obviously it wasn't. And then it gets significantly harder as you're chasing around these other two guys that are fucking terrorizing the land. And with the expansions, they're adding more elements to it. So I still have yet to go to the Isle of Armor. I haven't touched my Switch in ages, though, since starting this PC gaming.
I feel you. I have my Switch by my bed. So when I lay down at night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm afraid to open up Animal Crossing.
Yeah, my Animal Crossing island is probably overrun with weeds by now, and probably all of my neighbors have moved.
Yeah, they're all gone, or they all hate you when you log in. They're like, dude, where have you been?
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to log in, and all of my neighbors on the island are wearing masks.
It's a Halloween. They do the holiday updates and stuff, so there probably is a couple of them walking around in costumes and stuff for Halloween.
Oh no, I was being morbid. Was it N9 medical masks? Everybody's being conscious about the virus.
maybe they do. Maybe that's part of the update. I don't know.
That would be awesome. Right. So some of the games that I've added recently that stuck out, I just a couple bundles that I snagged here and there, just a few dollars here, a few dollars there. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, so the first Modern Warfare game, which was one of the last Call of Duty games I actually enjoyed. So yeah. I'm interested in playing that. The first Borderlands. Ooh. So now we have Borderlands, Borderlands 2, and Borderlands the pre-sequel. We'll throw 3 on there eventually, one of these days. Yeah. Blaster Master 0, 1, and 2. Now, I had these on... I have Blaster Master 0, 1 on my Switch, and it is fantastic. Do you know about the Blaster Master series at all?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it was I think it was an original Nintendo game. It's Blaster Master. In fact...
Yeah. Well, you got it back there on the shelf.
I don't... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my Sega Master System games. Where is it? But yeah, it's one of my NES games. Is Blaster Master, dude. It's so fun. You're a little vehicle, and you move around, but you can hop out, and you're a little dude, and it's side-scrolling. But you'll go into these doorways, and then it takes you to an overhead, almost Zelda look, and you can walk around and shoot and go through. It's a fun game.
That's cool.
I added a game that was in a bundle. It's called Devil's Hunt.
Yeah.
And it is reviewed on Steam as, I think it's mostly negative. Basically it says it's a Devil May Cry ripoff.
Oh, well. maybe they're just salty because it is like they view it as a ripoff. Maybe it's a good game, and they just like, no, this is too much like Devil May Cry. Like
that's a possibility. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
And a game. One more. I won't bore everybody. We're just going through some of these. I'll post the updated list on Facebook on the page. A game that I have on PS4 that was one of the first PS4 games that I had from PlayStation Plus, and I saw that they finally released it on PC, and I needed it. It's called The Unfinished Swan, and it's a short game, dude. It's like 2.5 hours, 4 hours if you want to do everything.
Yeah.
But it's just such a cool game. It's like in the beginning, everything was bare, right? So everything is white. You can't see. The only thing you can do are throw these black paintballs, but it starts to give you depth and show you where things are at, so you can make your way around by throwing these paintballs to see where like openings are. And it's just it's hard to explain, but the game develops as you go along. The story is told. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Well, I guess it's getting to be about the time that
goddamn cough.
Got the Rona. Oh no.
Oh god, no, I hope not. And I'm absolutely terrified to go back to work too. The university I work at is experiencing a quote unquote, they say 11 cases, but they have over 100 kids quarantined right now.
Ooh.
And there's been multiple schools across New York State, especially in this part of New York State, to switch to online only learning with curfews enabled and shit like that. And a couple of them have actually closed down for the rest of the semester. Like,
damn.
We'll see. My school seems to like to... It seems like they're trying to hide the number of kids who are testing positive, or like they're testing kids, one kid tests positive, so they're like, okay, we're just going to quarantine 12 people for every one positive and not do any contact tracing so that our numbers don't go up, so that we don't have to close, because they're not doing like first contact tracing at all. They're like, one kid tests positive, so they're like, all right, we're just going to quarantine 10 people, like call it good.
Wow. Yeah, around my town, all the restaurants have been packed. Nobody's wearing masks. Like, it's
your fucking governor down there decided, hey, this isn't real. We're just gonna reopen everything in the state. Have at it, guys.
Yeah, what's his name? What's his name? Rick DeSantis or something like that?
It's DeSantis.
DeSantis. Fuck you, DeSantis.
Oh my god.
Fuck you.
They're gonna shut down our podcast.
We'll start another.
Yeah.
Pirate radio. Anyways, speaking of viruses, we are talking about Resident Evil this week. And full disclosure, I did not finish this game.
Yeah.
I played some of it.
I knew you wouldn't. I kept hounding you about it too.
Like, yeah, you did. You hounded me, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what was wrong with me. Like, I'm not gonna lie to the listeners. Like,
you went on there and you looked at how long to beat.com, and it's like 9 hours. So you're like, oh, 9 hours. I can do this in one night. And
yeah, that's exactly what happened. But like, I don't know if it was like just like some of my depression creeping through, but it was like there were nights that I would load it up and just sit and stare at it. Yeah. And then I would just go watch Happy Console Gamer.
Yeah, it might have something to do with that. It might also have something to do with how terrifying this fucking game was. The very first, like, the part... There's 7 parts to this game. Parts 1, 2, and the beginning of part 3 are like nothing but jump scares. And
yeah, that kind of turned me off.
It took me 3 days to get past that. Like, those 3 parts, honestly. Like, I didn't think I was going to make it through this game, but I rolled credits yesterday. All of them over at Maelstrom Radio will probably be super happy to hear that I actually played through this game in its entirety.
Right?
Like,
you did it, not me. What the fuck?
Yeah, I did it. And granted, I kind of, like, I didn't use any cheats or anything like that, but I did use a walkthrough to help me get through this game as fast as possible, because I did not want to walk around and have to explore and figure out these puzzles on my own, because this game is just absolutely terrifying.
And with the way we do the show, I don't mind using walkthroughs if it helps you get through a little quicker, because I know, for one, you have a lot less time gaming than I do, and two, not that we have a deadline, but it's like we have a deadline, but we don't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we wanted to cover an 8-hour game and take 2 weeks to do it, we could if we wanted to, but it's like, whatever. But
that how long the beat.com's 9 hours for this game. I don't know who the hell completed this. Yeah, I don't know who the hell can complete this game in 9 hours on their first playthrough without a fucking walkthrough guide. Because me using the walkthrough, it still took me over. It almost took me 11 hours, even using the walkthrough. Like, but once you beat this game and you know where everything is and you know how to tackle everything, you could probably speedrun this game in less than 9. To be honest, like. Once you get past that initial fear of the horror elements to this game, which they did a superb job with the horror elements to this game. They really went back to the roots of the franchise and stayed away from that action sequence that was very heavily influencing 5 and 6.
I do know that this was the first game in the series to use their in-house engine, the RE engine.
Yep, they used their own engine. It was the first one to do the first person.
Yep.
The first person shooter thing. Well, even that was picked before they even decided to do this game for VR.
Well, hold on. So it was the first mainline game in first person. There have been 2 of the like spin-off games that were I think Dead Aim was one of them, and the other one escapes me. There's another one that's first person, but they're not mainline series.
The first mainline series game then to use the first person,
and that really
was established before they went VR. And whoever can play this game in VR, kudos to you, because playing this game without the VR, absolutely, I probably had like 4 or 5 panic attacks. Cried maybe twice.
So the VR demo is the kitchen.
Yep.
And you're sitting in the kitchen, and that's just I can't even imagine. I can't imagine sitting at that dinner table in VR when you first come into that room. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so hold on one second. Let me read this paragraph, and then we will dive into it. So I did not know that this game's name is backwards in Japan. So here it is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, but in Japan it is Biohazard 7 Resident Evil, or Biohazard Seiban Rejadentu Ibaru. I think I did that all right.
And I don't know. Maybe. I don't even try unless I know.
I like to try. I like to try. At least give an effort. Because I'm not trying to be racist with it. I'm trying to actually pronounce it like the way that they do phonetically. So I'm trying to learn. That's all. This game was officially announced in 2016. The first demo of it was Kitchen, though, and it was in 2015. And that was all it was called, was Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then that made a cameo in the second demo, which was the Resident Evil 7 teaser beginning hour. And then they released a third demo called Lantern at the Tokyo Game Show in 2016. So going into this, I knew little to nothing about it except that you were in a house with crazy people.
I knew absolutely nothing about this game until I picked it up. I knew it was out. I didn't know anything about the storyline or the gameplay or anything like that. I was like, oh, another Resident Evil game. Cool. How far are they going to take this? Kind of like the movie franchise where they just dragged it on. And I played 5 and 6, and they kind of were a buzzkill for me for the Resident Evil franchise because they focused solely on action.
Yeah, they're definitely more action games.
Yeah. And I wasn't really a big fan of that. But this one, God, they knocked this one out of the park for sure. This is a great way to reestablish what the Resident Evil franchise is all about.
Oh yeah, and it starts early because as soon as I drove up to that house and I'm walking around, me and you were on Discord together, and I'm like, yep. You were a little bit ahead of me, so I'm like, where do I have to go into this dark doorway? You're like, yeah. I'm like, fuck it. Can I just go back and get in my car and leave?
You didn't even make it that far without your first jump scare. As you're walking up to the house,
bats.
The ravens. Yeah, the ravens.
Or yeah, that's right. It was ravens. Yeah, they come flying.
And then the thing that got me is as you're walking up to the house is you start coming down this trail. You see somebody walk across it.
Yeah, that
and then
freaked me out too.
I was like, who the fuck is that? So I sprinted up, and they're fucking gone. There's nobody there, but you clearly see somebody walk across the back of the screen, in the distance. Not cool.
They are setting the mood real quick.
And of course, where they came from, you have this modern art piece, which is 8 to 10 cow legs all splayed out in this circular pattern with saw blades all around it. I guess they call that a Louisiana doormat. This game takes place in Louisiana. I don't know if you caught that or not.
In the bayou, yeah.
Yeah.
Out in the swamps, man.
Without getting too far into the game, the one thing I'm really disappointed about this is that it takes place in Louisiana. How come you don't come across like any gators or anything like that?
See, I was thinking mosquitoes.
You do come across bugs.
You do should be swatting mosquitoes. Oh, I know there's bugs.
You do come across bugs, and I don't know how far into the game you got. Did you get to Marguerite yet?
No, but
All right.
was reading
we'll talk about that.
and hearing about that. So,
yeah.
I do think, if I read correctly earlier, that this was the first Resident Evil game written by a Westerner.
I don't know. I didn't do too much research on the game itself.
On
my end.
I believe that the guy who wrote the story for the game, is the dude who also did Spec Ops: The Line, which is also on our list. And I want you to go into that game without knowing anything, because I know the end of it, and I want you to not know the end of it, because it's going to be good. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting fact, that this was the first one that was not written over and solely done in Japan.
Yeah.
So you go into the house and you're walking around. It's very, I guess, dilapidated. It's like just falling apart.
Yeah, it's a crumbling building. It's old, run down,
and grossness everywhere.
It's pretty much it's condemnable 100%. Like, it's not like unlivable. I mean, the structure itself still seems like sound for the most part, but the lack of care for this building is evident with the amounts of rotting food and trash and everything around this house. Like,
yeah, it's absolutely gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that I could not smell through my screen, because it was it'd have been
100% great. Like that. Eventually, we'll come to that technology, and it will be awful.
Hopefully, it's just something like you stick
later on in this game. I think you find out why things are looking the way they are at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe to kick things off, you just kind of roam around the house till you find the VHS tape, right?
Yep. You roam around the house until you find a VHS tape. And then part of this game is you have to watch these VHS tapes to progress the storyline. And you don't just like start the game showing up at a house. You're playing a character named Ethan.
Yes.
I think his name is Ethan Winters.
Yep.
I could be wrong about the last name, but I think that's it. He gets an email from his wife, Mia, and she's like in a panic. And she's telling him like, "Oh, I messed up. Don't come here. Don't come look for me." And of course, what do as the protagonist of the game? You go look for her.
Well, because you get a message from your wife who supposedly died 3 years ago.
She disappeared. She didn't die.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Presumably.
Similar like things. Like, somebody's been missing that long. I think you could legally have them declared dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's been missing for 3 years, and this email comes out of nowhere, and he's like, I guess, why wouldn't you go look for her? I mean, it's your wife. She's been gone for so long. Like, but the hints she's dropping in that video are like, don't come look for me. Well, that's a pretty serious fucking tone. I'm just gonna close my laptop now. End of game. Roll credits. Like,
fuck yeah, don't come look for me. It's like, all right.
I guess this one wants a divorce. Like,
it's like, oh man, what email? Yeah. Delete.
But yeah, so we come back to the VHS tape. You find the VHS tape. You load it up in the VCR system. And for kids these days who don't know what VCRs are, God, that makes us feel even older. Like, it is a pilot episode for a show. I forget the name of the show in the game. What was it? Was it like Swamp Hunters or something like that? But it's a paranormal investigation show where they go to haunted places and do walkthroughs and try to capture paranormal activity. And you are playing this VHS tape, this like flashback scene, as the point of view of the cameraman.
Yeah, and the host is a fucking douchebag.
Of course he is. Like,
holy shit.
They're all douchebags. Once they get that little bit of celebrity air to them, they all become douchebags for the most part. But there's some things here that if it wasn't for the walkthrough, I would have completely missed. Like, once you take over as the cameraman and you can start playing at him, you can pick up a lockpick immediately.
Did not know that.
Yep, you can pick up a lockpick right there and immediately. And then once you get into the house and make your way into the kitchen, there's two drawers that you can interact with. One of them is locked. If you pick that lock, you can't do anything. The drawer is empty now, but once you kick out of the VHS tape back into the actual gameplay,
It's still unlocked, right?
It's still unlocked.
Yeah,
and
cool.
That's where you find your first antique coin, which.
See.
I remember asking you what the antique coins were going to be used for. I didn't know if it was just some like thing that you can just collect as like an achievement thing, but they actually play into the game. They actually play into the game.
Really?
You need those. Yes. Once you get to part 3, part 4, when you we'll get there. We'll get there. I'll just keep in mind that if you're playing through this game, save all your antique coins. Don't drop them. Stash them in your inventory box whenever you hit a safe room, anything like that. Hold on to the antique coins. Like they are they are super important for the rest of the game. They really are.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
So after you play through the scene, and basically it ends with you guys are in the kitchen, and I guess the lighting guy, the microphone guy,
I think it's one of the co-hosts.
Well,
it might have been one of the tech guys, but he disappears.
Yeah, just gone.
He didn't dip out. He's gone, and the host is freaking out. You guys are wandering through the house. You're wandering through the house, and then you find this opening in a ladder that goes down to the basement. And of course, the host is a dick, and he's like, "You're gonna go down first, so you could get a action shot of me coming down the ladder."
Yeah, fucking prick. Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
You just don't want to go down there. So cameraman makes his way down there. The host is yelling at you from up top. You turn around. Your buddy there is just, I forget what horror movie it is, but he's pulling this thing where he's just standing motionless, back towards you, face to the wall.
Oh, dude, it reminded me of The Taking of Deborah Logan. Is the movie that reminded me of, because
something like that. But when I saw that, this was one of the moments where I was just like, nope, I can't go any further in this game. But of course, you have to approach him. It took me about 10 minutes to muster up the courage to. I literally sat there with the controller in my hand. It's like I kept looking up at the host. I was like, what do you want me to do? Like. You approach him, dude's dead. He's been like impaled on a meat hook on the wall. Like he's gone. His body hits the floor. You're then grabbed by somebody.
Yeah, you get punched.
And that's where that's where the tape ends. You know, all three of those guys, all three of those motherfuckers are dead.
I was gonna say, whatever happened to the host? Does it ever explain?
I do believe you come across his name on some files you find later on in the game, which we will talk about as well.
Okay. And after that is when you go down the same way that you saw in the video. So basically, when you play through these videos, they are like foreshadowing what you need to do next in a way, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, they are. It's foreshadowing, but it's also like helping you. It's guiding the actual gameplay for you. Like you get to backtrack and retrace the steps of a lot of what happens in these videos. That makes it easier for you, because this game, besides the horror elements, they went really puzzle heavy on this game too.
As usual.
It's not just you walking around and exploring with jump scare here, jump scare there. There's a lot of like, oh shit, I don't know where to go. Like this isn't cool. And that's again, without that walkthrough, this would have took me forever.
That's more of the Resident Evil that I remember from back in the day, as opposed to, I think the last one that I played some of was 5, and I was like, well, this is like Call of Duty Zombies, but third person. What is this?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I can totally get that. But I liked the puzzles that I came across. Having to find the random wooden pieces and put them in front of the light. You know, those puzzles were cool.
Yeah, the shadow puzzles are really cool. You come across four of them, I think. 5 of them, I think
I did 2.
Yeah. I think there's like 4 or 5 throughout the entire game they were pretty cool. It took me forever to figure out the first one, how to do the first one. But once I figured out that first one, all the rest of the shadow puzzles were easy.
Yeah, the one that took, well, I only did 2 of them. The first one didn't take me too long, but getting that bird in the right position took me ages.
Yeah.
Ages.
Yep. That's what I'm talking about too. Yeah. Having to put that piece in the right position to cast the shadow over the blank painting. Yeah. But after that first one, the rest were super simple. I knew exactly what to do. But
And this game is a serious case of disappearing grandma, and it freaked me out.
Oh, the grandma, yeah, but sure. But yeah,
So,
back
continue.
through. You're going through the house. You are retracing the steps that you watched in the VHS tape. You find the secret lever in the fireplace that opens up the walkway down to the basement. You travel down into the basement, God, against probably every natural reaction a human person should have. You're crawling your way through it. You're wading your way through some flooded crawl spaces. And my first time down there, I'm like, oh, water that's like chest high. Wait, why is it bubbling? Wait, why is it bubbling? Wait, why is it bubbling? Like, this is where I thought a gator was going to pop up, something like that.
Yeah.
You get to the end of it, this is where you encounter your first dead body. Like, just floats up as you're walking by it. And
I assume that's the cameraman, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's I think the rate of decomposition made it really hard to tell, but I do believe it was one of the show people.
Yeah.
It might have been the cameraman.
I just figured
you were
because
playing, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get through there, you make your way into the actual basement, and it's starting to look fucking creepy. They got like lockers and everything set up. There's meat hooks everywhere. You're like, who the fuck's house is this? This is absolutely terrifying.
I just want to say, personally, long before this point, I'd have turned around and went the fuck home.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, as soon as I walked into the kitchen, I'd have been like, nah.
I wouldn't have made it to that house. I would have seen that cow leg modern art piece and would have been like, gone. Like,
out of here, yeah.
Yeah. You're making your way through the basement. You come across a cell. It looks like a prison cell, barred doors and everything. And lo and behold, it's your wife, Mia.
Hey.
Hi, Remy. It's your wife, Mia. And you call out to her, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, she's like, you gotta go. You gotta go now before Daddy comes back. And at this point, you're like, Daddy? Huh? What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah,
you're supposed to call me that.
It seems like she's got. She's like. It seems like she's exhibiting some serious signs of like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, for sure.
But later on in the game, you find out why she's referring to this character as Dad. Like, this is where you also encounter your first like usable object. You find the bolt cutters. You free her. She's freaking out. She's trying to get you out of the house, trying to find secret passages to get you out before you get caught. And as you're making your way through the rest of the basement, you come across like what looks like a makeshift operation room. Not cool. Lots of tools, surgical beds, and shit like that.
Very fucking creepy.
Very fucking creepy, for sure. You crawl through this. You side shimmy through this space that is just wide enough, I guess, to fit like an average adult body sized. Yeah. I'd probably be able to fit through there. You, sir, would probably be stuck in the surgical suite.
Fuck yeah. Dude, I wouldn't be squeezing through shit.
Not a lot of room in there. You squeeze through that. You come into this, like, it looks like a secret room. There's like no doors or anything into this room, but there's like a couch and I think a broken ass TV and shit like that. She's freaking out. She's pounding at the wall. She's like, I know there's a door here. I know there's a door here. And as she's doing that, you start looking around. And all of a sudden it's quiet. You turn around. She's fucking gone. She's gone. Like,
yeah.
What the hell? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And then like, oh God, even though I just finished this game, it's hard for me to remember like exact details of like what happens next. I know you have to make your way back upstairs and you're exploring the house again. You have to find a couple pieces. You have to find a fuse.
Yeah, that's right. That's where you have to put the house back together.
Yep. Oh yeah, you come up in a different set. You come up a set of stairs from the basement that brings you into a separate part of the house that was inaccessible through the first run because of a locked door.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is where you find. Is this where you get the first phone call?
Yeah, from Zoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where you get the first phone call from Zoe. And Zoe is this mysterious character at this point that is like, I know you're here. I'm going to try to do what I can to help you get out of here alive. And that's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Like, if you still haven't, like, as a person, turned around and fucking fled for your life crying, like, you are either a braver person I am or you're an absolute psychopath. One or the other.
For sure. Fuck that.
Yep.
Dude.
You get your phone call, and Zoe's telling you the way to get out of this house is through the attic. And the only way to get to the attic is you have to find a fuse that will connect a button up on the second floor to lower down some stairs to get to the attic.
Yeah.
As you're making your way through this house looking for this fuse and stuff, Mia shows back up. Not once,
Scared
but I do
the
believe
shit out of me.
Yep. Mia shows back up. Not once, but I think it's like 3 separate times. And each time she's acting more and more like a different person. She's becoming very hostile.
Her skin's
very
starting to look
aggressive.
clammy and pale.
Yep. And she physically attacks you, I think, 3 separate times.
Well,
First time she stabs you with a knife.
Yeah.
She's like right through your hand. Tries to fucking kill you. You fight her off. Second time she comes at you with a fucking chainsaw.
Well, she stabs your hand with a screwdriver and pins you to the wall. And no
Yep.
matter how good you are at this, if you do it perfectly, you're still going to pull that screwdriver out in time to block and get your hand cut off by the chainsaw.
Yeah, that's just part of the game. It's inevitable. It's what's going to happen. There is no way around it.
Yeah.
She impales your hand into the wall with a screwdriver. The same hand that she stabbed with a knife. Cuts off your arm with a chainsaw. That got me. I had to walk away from the game for about 30 minutes after that. Like, anxiety spiked there. I should have wore a heart monitor or something during this game.
Now this is where you kind of get away from her. Or no, I'm sorry. You have like a mock battle with her, right?
Yeah.
And I think you have a hatchet.
You do come across an axe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think an axe or a hatchet. One of the things.
Yep. You get your first battle in this game, and God, it's a bit of a bitch. It's a bit of a bitch.
Or did you have the pistol?
Nope.
No, that's right. You stick the axe in her.
Yep. You stick the axe in her.
So that's before she hits you with the chainsaw then, because when she stabs you in the hand with the screwdriver, she's like, that really fucking hurt.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then she's like, I'm gonna make you pay, and then comes at you with the fucking chainsaw.
I would imagine it hurt because the video, like the automatic playthrough, you put the axe right in her fucking neck. Like,
yeah.
It's like, God damn you just made me kill my wife. Little did I know. Like these
the bitch didn't die.
Nobody dies in this game.
So
apparently.
From what I remember, because I was still playing up to this point, this is where Jack catches you.
Once you get to the attic, yes.
Yeah, he knocks you
Once
the fuck
you
out.
get that fuse in there, you find the stairs to the attic. I think Mia comes in through the window. You have another little battle, and as that's going on, the ladder to the window breaks.
Yeah, that's where
you turn around. You turn around, fucking Jack just blasts you in the face, like knocks your ass out.
And drags you to the main house.
Yep. Cutscene. You're being dragged across the ground by him as he's carrying Mia over his fucking shoulder.
Yeah, talking about a strong motherfucker, unless Ethan's not a big dude. But even still, you're carrying someone while dragging another one by their leg. Like, it's pretty strong.
You didn't get this far into the game, but Ethan's not that big of a dude. He's probably my build. Like,
okay.
Yeah. You do get to see Ethan.
Oh, you play from the perspective of Mia at some point, right?
Yes, you do. And you do get to see Ethan. And if you ever pictured Ethan being a blonde, like I did not expect that. He's a blonde. Like,
oh no, I didn't picture that at all for some reason.
Yeah. I don't think anybody did, because as I was reading the walkthrough, and it's like, by the way, this is the first time you get to see Ethan, the protagonist you've been playing this entire time. And if you pictured him as a blonde, I'd call you a liar, just like we did. Like, but yeah, you're getting dragged away from this house that you went into, which apparently is just like a guest house. It's not even like the main house. You're being dragged to the main house, and then the next scene you're coming to, you are like restrained at a dinner table, surrounded by these creepy ass fucking people.
This is the scene that I think would make me shit my pants in VR.
Yep. You got Jack and his wife Marguerite. You got grandma in her wheelchair, all fucking like catatonic, like dead eyes, no, like she's practically a vegetable.
Yeah.
Like, you got Lucas, and I think Zoe is there as well. So you have the whole family. Jack is rambling on, all murderous lunatic. Like, Marguerite is throwing a fucking fit because you're not going to eat these fucking rotted out intestines that are fucking gross as hell. Like,
he's not eating it. He's not eating it.
Yeah, they're losing their shit. Lucas is losing his shit because his mom's losing his shit. I think Zoe gets up and wanders away, and this is like when the phone rings. They all get up away from the table.
First and foremost, Jack just cuts off Lucas's fucking arm.
Yeah,
because he's calm down and cuts his fucking arm off, and Lucas is like, "Oh god damn it, not again!"
Yeah, you're like, not again. What? Like, yeah. But after some dialogue, the phone rings. This is when they all get up from the table, and this is where this part begins. You tip over your chair. The chair kind of breaks. You lose your restraints. You make a break for it. You have to. This is where you start exploring the main house. This is where part 2 begins, and this was probably the scariest part of the entire game. This main house sequence.
I agree.
Because as you're doing this, you are being hunted down by Jack, who has gone all Michael Myers on you. He's in no hurry to find you. Like, he just lazily walks through the house yelling at you.
Yeah, taunting you.
Yeah. And this part was the hardest to get through for me. It was absolutely terrifying because you didn't know where he was. One of the first times, like the first time that you get to start running around and exploring the house, you're just trying to get away from him and stuff. He comes across you and you're running away from him. You're running away from him. You turn down a hallway. This motherfucker turns into the Kool-Aid Man and explodes through the fucking wall. Right?
Yeah.
Explodes through the fucking wall and chases you back down. Luckily, at the end of the hallway is the very first safe room. Like,
and as long as you make it to a safe room, they can't fuck with you. They don't chase you into safe rooms.
No, they don't chase you into the safe room. You can even leave the door wide open and they walk by like they can't see you. There's plenty of times where I sat there just inside the doorway and watched them walk around, like walk right by the door and like, God damn it, where'd he fucking go? Like... Safe rooms often, saves often. I probably saved 3 or 4 times every time I went into a safe room just to make sure my file was up to date. Like, the whole point of running around this house. Oh no, hold on. You don't even get to that point yet. As you're walking through this house and shit, you come across somebody knocking at the fucking window.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a fucking cop
who's
investigating missing people's reports because there has been, I think it was 20 missing people reported in the local area over the last like 3 years.
Yeah. Now, why is it that as soon as you see the cop and you go running up and start talking to him, your dude just sounds like a fucking crazy person?
I mean,
there are people in here trying to kill me. I need your gun. Like.
Everything that you just experienced would probably make you sound like a fucking crazy person.
I know.
That would be my reaction. It's like, oh my God, there is people trying to kill me. If you can't get in here to help me, at least give me something. Like, what does he get? He gives you a fucking pocket knife.
But the cop's not going to give you his only pistol.
Yeah, that's fair. But he's also a fucking parish cop in Louisiana who probably also has a 12-gauge shotgun in the fucking car. Because
that don't matter.
They all have that in Louisiana, especially in the fucking backcountry bayou. Like,
shotguns has to do with a cool puzzle in this game, I thought. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
But
So, you try to get the gun from the cop. The cop's like, I don't trust you. You're like, well, you have to give me something. He gives you a little, like, fucking 2.5-inch blade pocket knife. Like, the fuck is this going to do? Like, but once you do that, he tells you to meet him in the garage. You go down to the garage, finally. This turns into a fucking mess. You get down there, and he's fucking dead on the ground. Jack comes out of nowhere. Or no, he's not dead yet. You start talking to him. Jack comes out of nowhere and fucking...
cuts his head in half.
With a shovel.
With a fucking shovel, yeah.
With a shovel, yeah. Cop drops his keys to the car. I don't think you can pick up his gun.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't drop the keys, but he does drop his gun. You got that switched because the keys are on the table for the car that's in the garage already.
So you can pick up the gun. You, no matter how many times you shoot Jack, nothing really seems to faze him. But I picked up the keys to the car, and I got in the car, and you can't bust out of the garage, but you can drive forward and backwards. I probably hit Jack with the car about 6 times before he ended up in the car with me and crashed it himself.
Yeah, see.
And when he crashed it himself, he impaled himself on a steel beam, and you're like, God, I hope he's finally fucking dead. Like,
when I picked up the keys to the car, he just turned around and ripped the door off the car, ripped the roof off the car, got into it, and just started driving it around. And I was like, what the fuck? And
No.
I just avoided getting hit by the car. I don't know how. I really don't know how. But the
See,
car ends up
that's where
exploding.
we had two different experiences then, because I actually got in the car and was forward, reverse, Austin powering that shit until I fucking I hit him enough times. He somehow ended up in the fucking car with me, crashed it, impaled himself. You're like, God, he's finally fucking dead. Wrong. No. Like, wrong. So you finally have your first gun. Not a lot of bullets. Like the old school Resident Evil games, ammo is very few and far between in this game.
Scarce as fuck, yeah.
Be very conservative with your ammo in this game, for sure. Don't be shooting at shadows and jump scares like I did at first. Like, yeah. This is when you get another phone call from Zoe. I think once you get back to the safe room.
Well, as you're on your way up that ladder to get out of the garage, Jack jumps the fuck up, all burnt up, and he's like, "You want to see something cool?" And he sticks the gun in his mouth and blows his fucking brains out. Then you go up the ladder, and then continue on. Oh, that's what happened on my game, at least.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened on my part or not.
Freaked me the fuck out, dude.
But I went up the ladder. This is where you find a piece in one of the pictures.
Yeah.
You interact with a picture piece, and you have to. This is what I found cool about the game: is these pieces that you can pick up. You have to interact with all of them, because some of them, even though you're just looking at it, there's no interaction. Some of them you have to rotate it to a particular angle or a particular side, and you can further interact with the piece. This picture frame was like one of the first ones you come across that has that.
Yeah.
And you pull out this like brass ox piece. It looks like an ox. It's in the inventory. Cool. You go back to the safe room. You get a phone call from Zoe. She's like, "Oh, you have to make it into the main hall of the house. This is where you can get out." That ox piece is the key to get into the main hall, because it's not like an actual door key. It's like a puzzle key. And that getting into the main hall really opens up more of the game. This is where you actually have to start exploring the entire build of the house.
Yeah, and this is around where I stopped playing, but I know I made it far enough to get the shotgun.
Yep, you come in here and you get another phone call. Zoe's like, "Oh, you have to find such and such pieces, or this is how you have to get out, or whatever." And you start looking around. There's two things you notice when you first enter the main hall. Three things you notice when you first enter the main hall. You have the statue holding the shotgun in a room. That is a puzzle. You pick up the shotgun, the door locks behind you.
Yeah.
It's like a weighted trigger.
Reminded me of Indiana Jones.
Yep. You have to put the shotgun back to get back out. Across the room on the opposite end, there is like a picture frame that has a portrait of Cerberus, the three-headed dog. The heads are missing. That is a doorway. That is like the front door to the house to get out. So you notice that the three heads are missing. Like the ox piece, you're going to like, damn, I got to find the three heads of Cerberus to get out. The third thing you notice is there is another door that has scorpions all over it as like a decoration. That is locked and requires a specific key that you do not find until later on through your exploring of the house.
Yeah. I remember getting that key.
Yep, you needed that key to get the broken shotgun from upstairs. Yeah. And that was the thing that I had the hardest part finding, and one of the main reasons why I actually hit the walkthrough pretty hard. I found the first two heads of Cerberus pretty fucking easily. I noticed when the dining room that you encountered your first cutscene in at the family dinner or whatever, there's a grandfather clock that's missing the pendulum. Well, you take the pendulum out of the clock in the main room, you run back there, you install it, it chimes, the first dog head falls out. You go upstairs, you're making your way around the like east wing or whatever where grandma's room is and some other things are. You go into the rec room where a pool table and stuff is. The second dog head is laying in there in a trash can.
Yeah, see, I had only ever found one of them.
Yep. You pick up the second one up there. You also encounter Jack again up there. Not cool. He's chasing you around with this like roided out garden weasel. Not cool. You also pick up another VHS tape up there. And this VHS tape plays from the point of Mia, when she's first at the house.
This part freaked me the fuck out too.
Yes, this video, you're playing as Mia. You can't do anything to protect yourself. You have no weapons. You have no inventory. The whole point of this flashback was to escape from Marguerite. So you have to like sneak your way through the house, through the crawl space to avoid Marguerite. And at the end of the video, she catches you anyway.
Yeah.
That scared the shit out of me. The
whole avoiding her in the attic, having to go around that. Like, I was avoiding her around this middle thing in the room.
Yeah.
Just running around it. Oh, man. Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah. That wasn't fun. So you watch that. That comes into play like the first VHS tape. As you're exploring around, you're unlocking some more and more stuff. You come across a couple other small types of guns. I think you get one more handgun that's slightly more powerful than the one you have now. You are unlocking. You're finding out that this house is more and more like a fucking Texas Chainsaw type shit. They have like a fucking funeral home, like incinerator down in the fucking basement. They have like a taxidermy room. They have like a fucking meat processing plant in their fucking basement. Like, these people are all gung-ho. Like, we're fucking crazy cannibal people. We're going to kill and eat everyone. This sort of shit. This is where you also run into your first zombie-like creatures. What they call the molded.
The molded, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They were creepy. They reminded me of Venom.
They reminded me of like Venom / like Swamp Thing, because they're a living mold essentially. They're not like humans anymore. They're not like, they're biological material, but there is like nothing to them. They're terrifying. They're easy to kill if you go for headshots only. If you don't go for headshots only, it takes quite the number of rounds, because you start blowing off limbs instead of actually doing damage to them themselves. So always go for headshots, like a good zombie game. Always go for headshots.
I do know that you can also blow their limbs off, but that only helps with them not being able to attack you and stuff.
Yeah. You explore more of this house. You finally come across the third dog piece, the third Cerberus head. It's down in the basement. It's one of the processing things. And this entire time, as you are running through this house, I don't know about you, but I had to like close the game to go do some dad stuff and then open it back up. And every time I would reload the game, Grandma's in a different fucking spot.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know how the hell Grandma was getting around being like a vegetable in a wheelchair, and there's no like wheelchair ramps.
How'd she get upstairs? Yeah. I kept running.
How the fuck did she get into Grandma's room, which is locked behind the fucking scorpion door? Like, I know to get I think it was the scorpion key, you had to do a puzzle involving the morgue drawers. No, that was the processing room key. Sorry.
No, yeah, the scorpion key, you had to drain a tub, and it was inside of the tub.
Yep, you found that in the tub, and that's when fucking douchebag attacks you, right, Jack?
Yeah.
Yep. To get the processing key, which was where the third Cerberus head is, you have to solve a puzzle involving the morgue drawers. You had to open the drawers in a specific order to unlock the only locked one.
Oh, see, I never got that far.
I had to hit the walkthrough guide for that. That was kind of creepy. But to get that red dog head, when you first get into the processing room, you see it just sitting on the shelf, and you run up to it, and you see your hand reach out to grab it. And all of a sudden, fucking from the other side of these shelves, Jack fucking grabs it. And he's talking to the dead cop, who is now hanging on a meat hook on the wall across the room from you. He doesn't know you're there. He takes it through a set of doors into another room. You have to go down some stairs and up some stairs back into this other room. And you see it. It's hanging from another meat hook wrapped in barbed wire. As you take it, it sparks another boss battle with Jack.
Oh,
who
man.
You've seen die like 3 times already at this point.
Yeah.
You are fighting him. This sucked for me because I ran out of bullets and I had to use a pocket knife against him.
Ugh.
But he has got some serious weapons. He's got some like motor, like they're almost like chainsaw style garden shears that have like 5-foot blades on them. And he's coming after you with those. Eventually in the fight, you pick up a chainsaw. You come across a chainsaw, And you can start attacking him with that. You're cutting him, and he goes down to the ground. And it gives you this option to, your motor dies. You have to start the motor, and then you can thrust attack. You start the motor, you thrust attack, you shove it into his throat, and you fucking rev that shit on high until he kind of just like explodes. But then he explodes into this like giant blob that you have to like continue to do damage to until he like explodes again. And then this time after he explodes, you see his lower half, his like waist down is still like walking, and then it falls over. And you're like, God, that must really be the last time you see Jack. No.
It's not?
It's not.
Really?
It's not.
Jesus.
It's not. So you get the scorpion key, you can run back upstairs to Grandma's room, you unlock that door, you grab the broken shotgun. You take the broken shotgun back down to the shotgun room. You pick up the real shotgun, put the broken shotgun back in the statue, you can leave the house, you have the shotgun now. Put the 3 dog heads in the painting, opens up the door, you make your way outside for the first time since you got here. Immediately off the porch, you see a little camper, like a little RV style camper. You run in there, that's a safe room. You get a phone call from Zoe. Zoe's like, well, shit, can't believe you made it this far. Nobody ever makes it this far. Well, now you got to go looking for this stuff, and it's in the old house. And you're like, God damn it, another house?
Like, how many houses are on this fucking property?
Yep. Another house. This house, we'll get to it in a second. But as you're in this trailer, you're looking around, you find some stuff. There's an inventory box, there's a save point, there's a TV with a VCR, but you don't have another VHS tape at this point. You come across one again later. There's like, I think a couple med kits in there and stuff. But on the counter in the trailer, there are 3 bird cages. One of them has some steroids. One of them has a stabilizer, which helps you reload faster. And the third one has the 44 mag handgun. This is where the antique coins come into play. Oh. They are like gumball machines. Each one has a certain number of coins required to unlock. The 44 mag requires 8 antique coins. The stabilizer and the steroids, I do believe, both require 5. And I think that makes sense because I think there are a total number of 18 antique coins to find throughout the game.
I wouldn't have had all 18 then because I missed that one in the beginning.
There's no way to get all 18 of them until you reach like the last part of the game. So you're not going to be able to unlock the third item until you get to part 7.
Which is the mag, right?
I unlocked the steroids first because the steroids increase your max health for the rest of the game. The second thing I unlocked, which I unlocked in like part 5 or I think it was part 5, I found enough coins to do it, was the 44 mag. I didn't do the stabilizer. But this trailer is sitting in the yard. It's kind of like a courtyard. You're surrounded by a bunch of different things, and there's some things that you can run around the yard and look for. At this point in the game, earlier in the game, you don't really come across anything in the courtyard. There's a couple things hidden around, a couple med kits, a couple green herbs. You can pull apart part of the porch that reveals a little crawl space, and down there is your first repair kit. You can repair any weapons that may have been damaged or any broken weapons that you've come across at this point. In another back corner is another shadow puzzle, but you can't solve this one yet. You have to wait until later in the game to solve this one because it requires a piece that you don't have yet.
Gotcha.
So now you know you have to go to the old house. And this is where the Mia videotape comes in, where she was running across the bridge of the dolls into the house that was crawling around looking for getting away from Marguerite.
The creepy place, yeah.
That's this house. So this is where your encounter with Marguerite happens. Because at this point you think Jack is dead. Marguerite is a bitch.
Now, I read that this fight is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, this fight is a pain in the ass for sure. But this house is not only creepy and a lot more broken down than the first 2 houses you come across. There's actual sections of the floor missing, walls missing, and shit like that. There are these giant mutated bugs flying all over the place in this house that will swarm and attack you. And you will waste a lot of ammo if you try to shoot them. The best bet is to use your knife to hit the giant mutated ones. The little bugs that are in swarms, you just have to run away from.
So you can't do anything to those?
Nope, you can't do anything to them at this point.
Okay.
When you are playing through the video as Mia, you can come across some things if you do it right and hide in the right spots, but you find pieces of something that looks like it's going to turn into something eventually as you pick them all up. As you play through an Ethan, you're picking them all up. You come across plans for it in the house as Ethan. It's a flamethrower, a homemade flamethrower.
Nice.
That's how you get rid of the swarms of bugs.
Okay.
You get all the pieces, you put together the flamethrower and stuff, you find the shadow, you find the piece for this shadow puzzle. It unlocks the thing. Marguerite starts chasing you through the house and shit.
I'll just light her on fire, like, burn, bitch! Ah!
Marguerite starts chasing you around the house. Not fun. She was a bitch of a battle because in between her attacking you and stuff, she's sending swarms of bugs after you at the same time. Not cool.
And you have to keep her in sight, right? Like what I read was like you have to keep her in sight so she doesn't send bugs at you, or like this doesn't do something.
You have
else.
to keep her in sight, but you have to be out of her sight. Like you have to know where she is. I didn't know that. I just took her head on. Like use that flamethrower, burn down every swarm of bug that she sent at me. As soon as I noticed that swarm was gone, I switched to my gun and started popping her in the face. Eventually, she runs at you, grabs you, throws you to the ground, and then she disappeared. So she's not walking around the house anymore. At least that's what I encountered.
Okay.
You go through. You go out to a couple different boathouses that are built on like walkways over the swamp away from this house. You find a couple more item pieces and shit like that. You go back into the house, you come across a door that has a crow on it, and you're like, well, god damn it, now I have to find the crow key. Yeah,
of course. You
come back, I forget where you find the crow key at, but I finally found it. Go back to that room, triggers the boss fight with Marguerite.
Another one?
This one wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard either. Just kept hitting her with the flamethrower and shooting her in the face. She pops in and out of a window a couple times, and then she starts crawling along the ceiling and the walls and shit.
Creepy. Creepy.
No, actually I'm wrong. This one, she throws you down the stairs as you approach the door. You fall through a hole in the floor that opens up underneath of you. There's a ladder and shit like that. There's a crawl space to your left. You're shooting at her from your back and stuff. She falls down into the hole. You think she's dead. She bursts into a million bugs, and then it starts filling up with ooze or whatever.
God.
While you were doing that, she was holding a lantern. You go back up the ladder. You go into the crow door. This is where you come across the altar that Marguerite talks about a couple times, and you come across this briefcase, and it has this like mummified